Hi guys, Mr. Starry again. What I'd like to do is be able to graph slope-intercept form equations. Now, what we've done to lead up to this is we need to be able to look at an equation and pull out these two pieces of information, because remember, a slope is the tilt of my line. It's a number that's telling me how my line is moving or kind of behaving. My y-intercept is a location, so that's a spot. That's going to be like my starting spot once I have it. And as you might know already, once we have a starting location in my slope, by using rise and run, let's kind of jot that down here so we have it to remember. I can now graph lines straight from an equation because they're in this form. So let's take a look at an example here and see how we can do. Now, first thing I want to do is pull these two pieces of information from this equation. So, okay, my slope, remember that's the number in front of my x, is 1/2. Okay, my y-intercept, my b, is -4. And remember, that's a location. That is where my line will cross my y-axis. So down 1, 2, 3, 4, that's where my line will exist there. So we'll kind of watch how this works here in a sec. Now, I have these two pieces of information. I have a starting location and my slope. Remember, my slope is telling me how my line moves. Let's start with our y-intercept. So let's graph it. 0, -4. Down 1, 2, 3, 4. 0, -4 would be right here. So now all we have to do is use my slope that I pulled from my equation to find my other ordered pair, or find another ordered pair that's on this line. Now, m equals 1/2. Just as a quick review, remember your numerator tells you to rise, your denominator tells you to run. Remember, rise is in the up and down direction, positive being up, negative being down. Run is in the horizontal direction, so positive being to the right, negative being to the left. So what do we have here? So from my starting point, I need to rise 1. Well, I'm here now. Now, before I draw my ordered pair or my dot or my plot point on my graph, I need to run before I do that. So I rose 1, and I'm going to run +2. Well, running +2 means I need to run to the right. So 1, 2. There's my other location. Now, what's cool about this is you can actually continue this pattern. And that's kind of what makes slope what it is, right? I rose 1, ran 2. I could rise 1 again and run 2 again. And notice these are all still on the same line. I could do the totally opposite of rising 1 and running 2. I could go rise -1 and run -2. And notice all of those points that are ordered pairs are still on this line. Now, you only technically need 2, but it is a good math habit to cover your graph as much as you can using your slope. So once we've done this, we're now ready to draw our line. So you just kind of hold your straight edge down, play a little game of connect the dots, and there's our line. So this line is this equation. They're the same relationship, just shown in 2 different ways. A little faster now. Well, let's take a look. Our slope is -3. Remember, it's wise to write whole number slopes as fractions. Why? So that we can see that rise and run. So I'm going to write -3 as -3/1. B, remember this is a location, my y-intercept, so that would be 0, 2. Well, here we go. Let's graph 0, 2 as my starting point. And now I'm going to use my slope to find my other location. Well, I'm going to rise -3. So that means I go down 3. 1 from my ordered pair that I already have graphed. 1, 2, 3. Notice my run is +1, so I will run 1 to the right. And again, it's good math practice to continue the pattern across your graph. So we could go down 3 again and run 1. And notice I can't do it again because I just ran out of graph, and that's okay. Just the same, I can go opposite. Instead of going down 3 and to the right 1, could I go up 3 and to the left 1? And of course I can, because look, all of those are still on my same line. I have my graph covered. I lay my straight edge down, and I draw my line through. We draw arrows on the end to show that the relationship goes on forever in both directions. For our last two examples, notice that these equations are not in slope-intercept form. So remember, to turn things into or convert things to slope-intercept form, as simply put, we need to solve these equations for y. So let's do that. We see a positive 3x term, so we'll subtract 3x. We're going to be left with 4y equals negative 3x plus 8. Now, again, this is 4 times y, so I need to divide by 4 on both sides. And what this will leave me with is y equals, a fast way to write negative 3 divided by 4 is negative 3 over 4x. Positive 8 divided by 4 is positive 2. Again, I know I'm saying positive and writing plus, but that's just a way for me to remember. My slope is in front of my x. It's negative 3/4. My y-intercept is positive 2, so my b would be 0, 2. We now have our location, we have our slope, so let's graph. My location is 0, 2. That's where my line will cross the y-axis. And my slope is negative 3/4. So I will rise negative 3, 1, 2, 3 down. And I will run positive 4, 4 to the right, 1, 2, 3, 4. Again, it is good math practice to kind of fill your graph as much as possible. So notice I can't go any more to the right, but could I do the opposite of my pattern and go to the left? So instead of going down 3 and right 4, can I go up 3, 1, 2, 3, and left 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. I have my graph covered, so we can draw our line. And that's it for that one. Same thing here. We don't see slope-intercept form, so we need to, long story short, solve for y. Well, I see a positive 2x term, so I'll subtract 2x. I'm left with negative y equals negative 2x. That was a positive 5, so I'll write plus 5. We're almost there. Remember, something we can't have is this negative variable. So again, I like to draw the 1 in there because we're allowed to, so that I can see what we need to divide by. Divide by negative 1 on both sides, and we get y equals negative 2 divided by negative 1 is 2. X comes along. Positive 5 divided by negative 1 is negative 5. And again, I'm saying negative, but I'm writing minus. So I'm almost like tricking myself into writing the correct thing. We need our slope and our y-intercept. My slope, my number in front of my x, is 2. Again, we're probably going to need to graph this, or we're going to need to graph this, so it would be wise to write it as 2 over 1 so that we can see the rise and run. Last but not least, our y-intercept is negative 5. So that means at the location 0, negative 5 is where my graph will start or cross the y-axis. So let's use our starting point, 0, negative 5, which is right here. And now we can use our slope. Rise 2, run 1. Rise 2, run 1. Now notice I have a lot of graph left to go, so I want to continue my pattern. Rise 2, run 1. Rise 2, run 1. Rise 2, run 1. Rise 2, run 1. We've covered our graph. We're ready to make our line. Use your straight edge. Draw a line through. That's how we graph lines that are in and not in slope-intercept form. And that's all I have for you today, guys. So we'll talk to you in the next one.